Anyway, welcome. Welcome, everybody. Oh, my. Wow. This has been cool getting caught up this week with all kinds of stuff going on, man. Really fired up. We're seeing some really great progress with new agents getting started, making sales. It's very encouraging when you see someone who's been hitting it, and Shelly's been hitting it hard, and then, walking into appointments and having bad situations, and then all of a sudden now she's gone 4 out of 4 her last 4 appointments. So it always kind of comes around, right? It always comes around. It's not to say she's going to be 100% from now here on out. Chances are that's not going to be that way. But just a lot of large numbers, law of compensation. I talked about that, where if you do the work and you get coaching, man, she's on the phone with me like constantly. And what's interesting about her appointments before is that she ran into just stuff that she didn't know how to handle, stuff that, because sometimes when you start this business, you come in thinking you operate on your own thought process. It's just sort of natural, even though you learn what we're teaching you in the panic, in moment of inexperience, right? You think is going to work.
All participants are muted and they can unmute themselves.
Up to what you think is going to work, like what you think the reasonable person would do, and you fall back onto stuff that you used when you used to sell, and you start implementing those things. And when it fails, like massively fails, your mind and brain don't reconcile it. The automatic thing is to not blame yourself. The automatic thing is to blame the system, or blame the leads, or blame everything except for you, because you think that, well, this kind of worked in the past when I used to sell insurance, or when I used to sell advertising, or I used to sell, coupon books. I'm just trying to help somebody out here. I'm trying to sell them something. Why wouldn't it work selling mortgage protection insurance on a lead program? And so when you implement it out of panic, you throw everything you learned about the ATM, stuff I've taught, that the thing just basically, you just go through it, but you throw that out the window and you default to old habits, right? Old habits die hard, right? You default to that thinking that, it seemed to work when I was doing that, it should work here. And then when it doesn't work, you think, well, golly, man, it's the system sucks. And you think you're using the system and you're doing nothing resembling the system, right? And then you blame everything else. It's just sort of a natural thing. I come to expect it. And so my job is to try to ease you over to doing our system if you talk to me. And a lot of times y'all don't talk. Some of you, I'm not going to say you all, not all of you, but the ones that don't talk to me, you have a harder time. You will have a harder time. Not that I'm a guru or anything, but I've just been in this business longer, right? It's kind of like your kids. It's like, man, some of your kids that are knuckleheads are hard-headed. You know what I'm talking about. As a parent, it's like, man, I told him not to do that, and yet he still does it. Well, it's because he doesn't believe you, and he thinks he knows better than you. And you know better than him, because you remember when you're a child, your parents taught you stuff, and you didn't believe them, and then you, through hard knocks and through mistakes, you ever hear the saying that the older you get, the smarter your parents become? Well, they were smart before. It's just you started understanding and learning that maybe the advice they were giving you was sound advice in certain things, right? Like if your parent makes 50 grand a year, maybe the stuff they know about money and about how to make 100 grand a year, maybe that's not what you should listen to. But, there are some things maybe that they gave you, right? Well, agents are the same way. Sometimes you just want to pummel them and hit them over the head, but, look, it's an all-volunteer army. So we don't really do that. We really, we tell you, don't do it like this or else you're going to fail. And then you end up doing it like that and then you fail. And then we're not in the mode of I told you so, because that doesn't help anybody. But we're waiting for you to come back and say, hey, I messed up. This is what I need. I need help. And when you're in kind of open hands, Alex, help me, then I can help you. I can share with you what other people have done to become successful. Not just me, but other people, what they've done to be successful. And what I love about Shelley is that she's been open to that, and she talks to me all the time, and I've guided her through stuff. Now she's closing. Now she knows what it feels like, and now she has something to compare it against with what she was doing before. So when you tell me, man, I don't know what happened. This particular couple, I thought, but they didn't, whatever. I didn't close them. I didn't take care of them. Okay, so let's talk through that and see what you did and what you could have done better, right? Shelley's been great at that. And again, I'm not taking credit. It's the entire system. It's not just me, but she's open to talking to me, right? So be very careful of your habits that you bring into the business, because your habits that you bring into it, you'll default to it because it is a habit. It's what you know, but a lot of times what you know in something else won't work here, all right? And you may have this logical mind thinking, well, it worked like that before. Why wouldn't it work here? Well, whatever you know before, if it doesn't jive with what we're teaching, chances are it's probably not going to work here. And no matter how smart you think you are, it's total arrogance to think that if what we're teaching is different than what you had done before, that what you've done before is still going to work here. There's a reason why we teach what we teach. Now, let me explain to you why we teach what we teach. Now, remember the part about me not making money until you make money? Okay, remember that part? Okay, well, that part is essential for you to understand that if I ever told you or taught you anything that would hurt you, I'm taking food out of my child's mouth. I mean, like literally. If I ever teach you anything that's going to hurt you, that's going to cause you to fail, then I'm causing myself to fail, and I don't do that. It's not something I do. I'm not incentivized to do it by any means. So the beauty of our system is such that what we teach you is designed to help you, all right? And then when I make recommendations like, man, you got to get to that doll team. You got to get to that doll team, get around the other agents that are successful, okay? The thought process, the habit for some people is, well, I don't really need that. I don't really need that because I've done this before. I don't really need that because I've dialed and I've booked appointments before. Okay, and so inside me, I want to say, dude, seriously? You're going to go with your thought process, and I'm trying to teach you and help you, and you're going to make that decision. Now, I know that the clock is ticking for when you're going to quit. I know that. Because anytime anyone's ever said that to me, anytime anyone's ever said, well, I already know how to do that because I've done it over here. Anytime, I promise you, my 18 years, the clock starts ticking and they're going to quit. It could be a week from now, a month from now, but it's going to happen. Like seriously, it's the kiss of death. And inside me, I want to tell them, oh my gosh, you are not thinking right because you're going to fail. Everything in me wants to tell them that. But because I'm not a boss, on the phone, I'll say, all right, that's cool, man. Awesome. Good luck. Let's do this thing. Okay. Now, some of y'all may think, Alex, dude, seriously? Like, what if it was your kid? walking in front of a bus, what would you do? Well, I would yank my kid out from the bus so he doesn't get killed, right? But my son or my daughter knows that I love them, that I'm going to save them. A brand new agent doesn't know that I care, so if I attempt to yank them from the bus, they think that I'm trying to be a boss. I'm trying to control them. I'm trying to do something that's going to cause them harm because it's against what their habit and instinct tell them. I don't have a choice. I'm not going to do it, and they're going to get hit by the bus and they're going to die. And it's like, oh man, that sucks. And I feel bad for a second, and then I go to the next person I'm working with, and they're saying, hey, they're calling me, say, hey man, I need some help. I ran into this situation on an appointment. I didn't close it. What should I have done? And it's like, that's someone I think I can yank from the bus if something is going to happen that's going to kill them. See how that works? But if like a brand new guy tells me what he's going to do and doesn't really care what I think, well, then I have to let the bus run him over. But here's the beauty of this business. The beauty of the business, if you're recruiting and building like the way I am, is that I've got many more people that I can work with. I'm not counting on one person. My business doesn't depend on that one guy that reveals himself to be so arrogant that, that I got to let the bus run him over, right? My business depends on him. But I've got 10 other people that I can work with. Okay. Alex, that's kind of mean. No, it's called business, right? I can only work with the people that want to work with me. I can't work with the people that operate on their own thought process and then they're going to die. And I learned this from Andy Albright, right? I have to put productive resources with productive people. So I got to measure the productive people and then put my resources in them. And the first measurement of productive people is, do they listen to you? Do they listen when you make recommendations, or do they tell you what they're going to do, right? If they tell you what they're going to do and not ask you what you think about what they're doing or asking advice of what they should do, well, I mean, what can I do, right? I've had this happen a couple times already this last week, which is really why it's prompted me to talk about it. It's hilarious. It's just hilarious. I mean, it's sad for them because they come into the business thinking they're going to make money, but because they exhibit that attitude, I just can't, So you might think that that's mean or not caring, and you can have your opinion. I just, See, because when you tell people what they need to hear when they're not ready to hear it, then you come off as being a jerk. You know what I'm saying? And then the relationship's already ruined. So I'd rather preserve a relationship for a potential future, if the person's willing to make mistakes and then they come back and say, hey man, I've been messing up, man. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Okay, I want to keep the communication open so they know I'm not going to judge them, I'm going to help them. But if I start from Jump Street acting like their boss and being a jerk to them, even though what they're doing is wrong, and I know that it's going to wrong, and I know it's going to hurt them, right? Then I still got to keep that relationship open so they can come back. If they don't ever come back because they think our system sucks or our leads suck, well then, okay. That's cool, right? I hope I'm making sense, because it's so important for you to understand if you're building a team, right? No one person is going to make or break your business if you're continually recruiting and finding people, right? And when you continually recruit and find people, then you always have hope. But it's sadness when you're only relying on the one or two people you brought into the business and you're hatching them, right? You're kind of sitting on them. You're sitting on them and hoping they're going to hatch. And that's not going to work. That totally is not going to work. You just need to bring on people. And it isn't throwing mud against the wall, okay? I'm not down with that philosophy, but I am recruiting quantities and then find which ones are going to be the ones that you invest your time in when they exhibit that attitude of a gratefulness that they got into this opportunity. They exhibit the attitude of submitting to someone who knows more than they do, right? Submitting to a system that is successful already, right? That you're trying to help them with, all right? So that's such an important concept. And over time you'll learn it because you're going to exhibit it yourself and you're going to see it in other people, right? You remember what it's like when you really kind of assumed that you knew it all, and then you run into something that totally causes you to question what you know. And so when you have something that causes you to question what you know, you have to either be arrogant and stick with what you think is going to work, or you can be open to someone else's wisdom, right? Someone else's experience that you can tap into. And then, it's like in the Bible, it says wise person has many counselors. Okay, so they have a circle of people that they counsel with. And in our business, it's your growing upline, it's Andy Albright, and it's, the MP3s that you listen to of successful agents. It's the conference calls that you listen to of successful people talking. It's coming to hotspot meetings or boot camps, like following Andy around and availing yourself of those opportunities to listen to people that are where in life you want to be, right? When you finally decide to open your brain and your mind up and your heart up to those people that are doing better than you, then you have a shot and you got a chance, okay? So that was just kind of a preamble, I guess. So what are we going to talk about today? I'm going to delve into a little bit, the whole idea of work ethic. And work ethic is really, the theme of 2018 that Andy Albright's really hitting hard. Like everyone on this call can make the Paris trip, right? You got to do maybe 15,000 submitted every month to be able to make it, right? 50,000 submitted premium. And usually, on average placement and persistency rates, you should have enough to make the trip. It's 115,000 points. A point is an issue paid dollar of business with one of our approved carriers, meaning that not all our carriers qualify for points for the trip. So, like AIG, guaranteed issue, that premium won't count for the trip. But like companies like Cumberland Financial Group, Forrester, CFG, those kind of companies, that's not all the companies. You got to read the contest rules. But premium written and issue paid with those companies will count towards the trip. And there'll be other incentives, other bonus points for doing the building side of the business that will help as well towards you getting to Paris. So that is the theme for 2018, just